It's not my intention to make you happy moment to moment. I don't give a shit about your short-term emotions. I don't even give a shit about my own short-term emotions, but I do care very significantly about all of our long-term success. I'd like us to do very well in the long term, and you're going to have to, if you keep doing the things that you've been doing, you're going to have similar outcomes that you've been getting. So if you want to have better outcomes, you're going to have to modify some of your thinking and modify some of your behavior, and that will modify your outcomes in proportional ways, as you might imagine. And, the bar's pretty low out there. Most people are doing very little. So if you make an effort, you'll have some proportional, better outcomes. And if you make a significant effort, you'll have significantly better outcomes. If you make an exceptional effort, you'll have exceptionally better outcomes. And I recommend you do that. So the people come to me, they say they want to be a millionaire. I tell them, don't come. If you don't want to make at least $1 million, don't train any of my. It's not for people that want to make $50 today, for their crack addiction. That's not my target market. It's for people that are, I hope want to have a lot of wealth and significant freedom in their life. So I say, at a minimum, you should have a goal to make at least $1 million if you're going to be here. So a person who wants to make another $1 million or their first $1 million, if they don't have the time to think through in some detail how they might go about that, if they don't have enough patience to write, eight pages here and there, 15 pages about a topic, do you imagine they're going to get a lot of millions of dollars if you can't do a little writing assignment or a little thinking assignment?
It's going to be tough.
I would think so.
Any amount of money takes time to build.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Any amount of wealth.
This is Gordon Ryan, by the way. If you don't know who Gordon is, Gordon's the best grappling competitor ever. He's offended when they just say he's the best grappler. He's like, no, I'm the best grappler ever, which is pretty objectively true. So it's hard to argue somebody did better. So if you say, oh, I saw Gordon Ryan on the call today, he's the world's best grappler. No. He's the world's best grappler ever. Is that correct?
Yeah, greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time. There you have it. And most humble as well. But objectively true. A joke that I make, actually with my friend Brandon, that I showed you a couple of videos from him earlier, a common joke of ours, we joke about how humble we are. And I say, you're probably the most humble. And then my joke back will be to him that, they'd have to know how great we are to understand the depths of our humility. If they were as great as us, they'd never be as humble as us.
Which is paradoxical, because the way that you talk would suggest that's absurd. But true humility actually comes from willing to admit you're wrong, or see that there's a better way to do things and say, okay, well, my way is not the best way. And if you can say, okay, this way is better because X, Y, Z, okay, I'm going to start using, and we talk about this in training all the time. Like yesterday, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to come up and I'm going to escape the back and I'm going to post here. And I'm like, okay, well, if you post here, you're going to get arm dragged. And he goes, well, I've been posting here. It's been working fine. I'm like, okay, well, this is an easy and objective way to figure this out. I'm like, you do the escape and I'll see if I can arm drag you. And he went to do the escape and I arm dragged him. I got to his back and I was like, you just got me off your back. And then 5 seconds later, I was on your back again. And so there's clearly a better way to do this. And he was like, well, that logically makes sense. So let's go into doing this a better way. And most people, you would say, okay, you're doing this wrong. This isn't the way to do it. And they would just be like, oh, you know what you're talking about. It's been working fine. And they would continue in the same mediocrity that they were doing before, and continue with that. And it takes it does take humility. It does take a humble person to be at such a level of success, to be the top 1% of productivity insofar as human beings. And to still understand that you don't have all the answers, and there, for a lot of things in life, there are ways that you could be doing things better, and understanding that and accepting the better ways to do things.
I agree with everything you said, but I'll expand one thought. Is you're being too humble again about the 1%. Is like no. I'm way above the 1% of annual income, way above the 1% of net worth for my age or overall, way above the top 1% of education, way above the top 1% of strength, way above the top 1% of fighting ability, way above the top 1% of social network, access to social resources. So in the joint probability of having all of those things is, I don't know if that's 1 in 500,000 or something more along those lines. I don't think it's 1 in 100,000. I don't think it's 1 in 100,000. So the joint probability of those things is way, 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 way above the top 1% of humanity. But my thought is like, well, that's cool that those things are objectively true. And if I want to keep that, if I want to maintain that and advance that position, then I got to go back to the model that you just described. It's like, I don't need to do things my way. I need to do things the best way. And I spend a lot of time and a lot of money with coaches and mentors and people to help me learn better ways to do things. And when they say nice words to me, that's really sweet. That's very sweet. And sometimes it's I have a little emotional touching of my heart. I think, oh, that's really nice of them to say that. But the part that I pay them for is not the sweet, nice words. I really pay them for the harsh criticism of like, it doesn't have to be harsh, but at least objective criticism is probably the better way to say it, or a more factual way. Is like, well, if I bring somebody who's the best in the world, if I ask them to take forgive me for this deep insult. If I ask someone who's the best in the world ever to take time out of their life and come share their knowledge and experience with me, then probably I should shut the up and listen. And in almost every circumstance, I should probably implement what that person told me to implement. And if I don't understand why, then I should, okay, I'm open-minded, help me understand why. And when you give me a good, clear why and show me a better path, then only a fool says, well, I'm going to do it my way. Despite this clear evidence, let me just do it my way. Let me continue to do it in a subpar way instead of a superior way. So I would encourage you folks that are here with us that, I don't need to do anything my way. I'm not so addicted to any of my thoughts that I think they're so valuable and so precious that I'm not open-minded to learning a better way. And I spend a lot of time and effort to try to learn better ways to do things. And I had a striving for perfection to try to make this course as comprehensive and perfect as it could be. And I try to make myself a better person. I'm not perfect. I never met a perfect human. I'm not the world's first perfect human. But I try to do significantly better every day. And I do make improvements every day. And if you think you know everything, then it's very hard to learn new stuff. So I think it's very important to have a sincere humility of that, and be delighted if someone could show you a better path or a better way to do things and help you banish some of your ignorance and move towards better outcomes. That's something to be celebrated, and don't ever have your feelings hurt by that. And I spend a lot of time and money to have people in my life that will give me that sort of feedback to say, hey, I think there's a better way to do this. Let me show you something.
Yeah. Even if it's an enemy or someone you despise, like a perfect example with me is I competed against Felipe Pena twice, and he beat me both times with the same exact back take from the same position. And I was like, you know what? I'm really irritated that he was able to hit that twice at me, but it's a good move and I should probably learn it. And so now it's like a part of my game, even though it was one of my enemies, one of my main rivals in the sport, who hit the move twice on me. I was like, that is objectively a good move. It has to be because he hit it twice on me. And so maybe I should learn that. And now it's like one of the things that I teach from that position. And so even if it's someone that you despise or someone that you're competing with, if it's a good piece of information, you should take that and make it a piece of your game, your life, or whatever, bring it into whichever domain that you're working in.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.